Hello friends and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister and we are in Bible study. We are in the book of 2 Kings and we are in chapter 17 and we are finding out what's going on with Hosea, the last king of Israel. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hosea, son of Elah, king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 9 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, but not like the kings of Israel who preceded him. Shalmaneser, pretty sure I'm saying that right, hold on. Shalmaneser, okay. Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up to attack Hosea, who had been Shalmaneser's vassal and had not paid him tribute, so he skimped on the bill. But the king of Assyria discovered that Hosea was a traitor, for he had sent envoys to So, S-O, or S-A-I-S, to the So is probably an abbreviation for Oskoron, O-S-O-R-K-O-N, sons and I'm sorry, that's another line, never mind on that one. So, that's a person, but possibly an abbreviation for their name. So, king of Egypt. And he no longer paid tribute to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore, Shalmaneser seized him and put him in prison. The king of Assyria invaded the entire land. He marched against Samaria and laid siege to it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and deported the Israelites to Assyria and settled them in Halah, H-A-L-A-A-H, in Gozan, on the Harbor River, and in the towns of Medes, M-E-D-E-S. So, now I want to be really clear about what we're talking about here. In this time frame, portions of Mesopotamia are part of Assyria, which means parts of Iraq are part of Assyria. Gozan is, if you were, I'm trying to give you a relative map. If you have the Euphrates River on one side, you got the Tigris on the other, and you've got Jewish settlements in these various sections. Way over, like you got Halal and you got Nivea, and then Media is over to one side near the Caspian Sea, if you were looking on a map. Gozan, on the other hand, on Harbor R, you have to follow up the Euphrates, and there's another offshoot of like a little river area, and that is Harbor, and then it goes up to Gozan. So it's just an offshoot of the Euphrates when you're looking at where this is. So it's pretty far, north of the Persian Gulf, and relatively far away from the area, right? Just from where they were. So they were taken from Jerusalem and moved very far away to these other areas where they don't know the land at all. Israel exiled because of sin. All this took place because the Israelites had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them up out of Egypt from under the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. They worshipped other gods and followed the practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before them, as well as the practices of the kings the kings of Israel had introduced. The Israelites secretly did things against the Lord their God that were not right. From watchtower to fortified city, they built themselves high places in all their towns. They set up sacred stones and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every spreading tree. At every place they burned incense, as the nations who the Lord had driven out before them had done. They did wicked things that provoked the Lord to anger. They worshipped idols, though the Lord had said, "You shall not do this." There, you got a footnote. Exodus 20, verse 4 and 5. The Lord warned Israel and Judah through all his prophets and seers, "Turn from your evil ways, observe my commands and decrees in accordance with the entire law that I commanded your fathers to obey, that I delivered to you through my servants the prophets." But they would not listen and were as stiff-necked as their fathers, who did not trust in the Lord their God. They rejected his decrees and the covenant he made with their fathers and the warnings he had given them. They followed worthless idols and themselves became worthless. They imitated the nations around them, although the Lord had ordered them, "Do not do as they do." And they did the things the Lord had forbidden them to do. They forsook all the commands of the Lord their God and made for themselves two idols cast in the shape of calves and an Asherah pole. They bowed down to all the starry host, and they worshipped Baal. They sacrificed their sons and daughters they made their sons and daughters pass through the fire, and practiced divination and sorcery, and sold themselves to do evil in the eyes of the Lord, provoking him to anger. So the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them from his presence. Only the tribe of Judah was left, and even Judah did not keep the commands of the Lord their God. They followed the practices of Israel, and Israel had introduced. Therefore the Lord rejected all the people of Israel. He afflicted them and gave them into the hands of plunderers until he thrust them from his presence. When he tore Israel away from the house of David, they made Jeroboam, son of Nebat, their king. Jeroboam enticed Israel away from following their Lord and caused them to commit a great sin. The Israelites persisted in all the sins of Jeroboam and did not turn away from them until the Lord removed them from his presence, as he has warned through all of his servants the prophets. So the people of Israel were taken from their homeland into exile in Assyria, and they are still there. Samaria resettled. The king of Assyria brought people from Babylon, Kutha, Kuthah, Ava, Avva, Hamath, Hamath, and Seravium. It's Sepharvaim, and settled them in the towns of Samaria in place of the Israelites. So this is pretty standard if you're going to be a conquering nation. Because again, they can't rebel if they don't know the landscape. They took over Samaria and lived in its towns. When they first lived there, they did not worship the Lord, so he sent lions among them, and they killed some of the people. It was reported to the king of Assyria, "The people you deported and resettled in the towns of Samaria do not know what the God of that country requires. He has sent lions among them, which are killing them off, because the people do not know what he requires." Then the king of Assyria gave this order: "Have one of the priests you took captive from Samaria, go back to live there and teach the people what the God of the land requires. So one of the priests who had been exiled from Samaria came to live in Bethel and taught them how to worship the Lord. Nevertheless, each national group made its own god in the several towns where they settled, and set them up in the shrines the people of Samaria had made at the high places. The men of Babylon made Sukkoth, Succoth, Benoth, Bnoth. The men from Cutha, Cuthah, made Nergal, Nergal, and the men from Hamath made Ashima, Ashima. The Avites, Avvites, made Nibhaz, Nibhaz, and Tartak, Tartak, and the Sepharvites, Spharvites, burned their children in the fire as a sacrifice to Adrammelech, Adramelech, and Anamelech, Mmelech, the gods of Seraphim, Sepharvaim, they worshipped the Lord, but they also appointed all sorts of their own people to officiate for them as priests in the shrines at the high places. They worshipped the Lord, but they also served their own gods in accordance with the custom of the nations from which they had been brought. To this day, they persist in their former practices. They neither worship the Lord nor adhere to the decrees and ordinances, the laws and commands that the Lord gave the descendants of Jacob, whom he named Israel. When the Lord made a covenant with the Israelites, he commanded them, "Do not worship any other gods or bow down to them, serve them, or sacrifice to them. But the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt with mighty power and an outstretched arm is the one you must worship." It's really the only one. Is the one you must worship. To him you shall bow down, and to him offer sacrifices. You must always be careful to keep the decrees and ordinances, the laws and commands he wrote for you. Do not worship other gods. Do not forget the covenant I have made with you, and do not worship other gods. Rather worship the Lord your God. It is he who will deliver you from the hand of all your enemies. They would not listen, however, but persisted in their former practices. Even while these people were worshiping the Lord, they were serving their idols. To this day, their children and grandchildren continue to do as their fathers did. Now, mind you, when this was written, as their fathers did, and still doing to this day stuff as well, to this day back in the BC era, but maybe not right this day. Really kind of depends on the family, right? If you want to find out what's going on next in the kingdom of Judah, because that would be the only kingdom that is left since the Israelites were scattered and no longer a kingdom at this point in the history of the kingdoms. You're going to need to come back for the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in the book of 2 Kings, and in this video we are in chapter 18. Hezekiah, king of Judah. In the 3rd year of Hoshea son of Elah, king of Israel, Hezekiah son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Abijah, Abijah. It's got a footnote A. Abi, A-B-I, a variant of Abijah, daughter of Zechariah. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father David had done. He removed the high places, smashed the sacred stones, and cut down the Asherah poles. He broke into pieces the bronze snake Moses had made, for up to that time the Israelites had been burning incense to it. It was called Nehushtan. I got a footnote of called, or he called it. So whether or not the king called it, or this is what it was called. Nehushtan, Nehushtan. Nehushtan sounds like the Hebrew for bronze and snake and unclean thing. If you put the letters together, you would get those things. Hezekiah trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel. There was no one like him among all the kings of Judah, either before him or after him. He held fast to the Lord. Now, I'm not saying something because that means even David. He held fast to the Lord and did not cease to follow him. He kept the commands the Lord had given Moses, and the Lord was with him. He was successful in whatever he undertook. He rebelled against the king of Assyria and did not serve him. From watchtower to fortified city, he defeated the Philistines as far as Gaza and its territory. In King Hezekiah's 4th year, which was the 7th year of Hosea, son of Elah, king of Israel, Shalmaneser, Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, marched against Samaria and laid siege to it. At the end of 3 years, the Assyrians took it. So Samaria was captured in Hezekiah's 6th year, which was the 9th year of Hosea, king of Israel. The king of Assyria deported Israel to Assyria and settled them in Halah, in Gozan, on the Harbor River, and in the town of Medes. In the last video, we covered, some of where that it was roughly, geographically, for the time frame. This happened because they had not obeyed the Lord their God, but had violated his covenant, all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. They neither listened to the commands nor carried them out. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, this is an interesting one. Sennacherib, Sennacherib, Sennacherib. So not even close. Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. So Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent this message to the king of Assyria at Lachish. I have done wrong. Withdraw from me, and I will pay whatever you demand of me. The king of Assyria exacted from Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So 300 talents has a footnote of D, and that's about 11 tons or 10 metric tons. And then 30 talents of gold. That is about 1 ton or 1 metric ton of gold. So Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the temple of the Lord and in the treasuries of the royal palace. At this time, Hezekiah, king of Judah, stripped off the gold with which he had covered the doors and doorposts of the temple of the Lord, and gave it to the king of Assyria. And like I said, there is actually a record of that in Assyria's records of being paid, by Hezekiah to leave. Hang on a second. So Sennacherib threatens Jerusalem. The king of Assyria sent his supreme commander, his chief officer, and his field commander with a large army from Lachish to King Hezekiah at Jerusalem. They came up to Jerusalem and stopped at the aqueduct of the upper pool on the road to Washerman's Field. They called for the king, and Eliakim, Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, Hilkiah, the palace administrator. Shebna, Shebna, the secretary, and Joah, Joah, son of Asaph, Asaph, the recorder, went out to them. The field commander said to them, "Tell Hezekiah, this is what the great king, the king of Assyria, says. On what are you basing this confidence of yours? You say you have strategy and military strength, but you speak only empty words. On whom are you depending that you rebelled against me? Look now, you are depending on Egypt, that splintered reed of a staff which pierces a man's hand and wounds him if he leans on it. Such is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who depend on him. And if you say to me, we are depending on the Lord our God, isn't he the one whose high places and altars Hezekiah removed, saying to Judah and Jerusalem, you must worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Come now, make a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I will give you 2,000 horses if you can put riders on them. How can you repulse one officer of the least of my master's officials, even though you are depending on Egypt for chariots and horsemen? Or that's charioteers, yeah. Furthermore, have I come to attack and destroy this place without a word from the Lord? The Lord himself told me to march against this country and destroy it. Then Elkiam, son of Hilkiah, and Shebna and Joah said to the field commander, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, since we understand it. Don't speak to us in Hebrew in the hearing of the people on the wall. So they don't want the citizens understanding what they're saying. But the commander replied, was it only to your master and you that my master sent me to say these things, and not to the men sitting on the wall who, like you, will have to eat their own filth and drink their own urine? Then the commander stood and called out in Hebrew, hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Do not let Hezekiah deceive you. He cannot deliver you from my hand. Do not let Hezekiah persuade you to trust in the Lord when he says, the Lord will surely deliver us. The city will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Do not listen to Hezekiah. This is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace with me and come out to me. Then every one of you will eat from his own vine and fig tree and drink water from his own cistern until I come and take you to a land like your own, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey. Choose life and not death. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for he is misleading you when he says the Lord will deliver us. Has the God of any nation ever delivered his land from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Seraphim, Sepharvaim, Hena and Hena and Ivaya, Ivvah? Have they rescued Samaria from my hand? Who of all the gods of these countries has been able to save his land from me? How then can the Lord deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people remained silent and said nothing in reply, because the king had commanded, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shibna, the secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, went to Hezekiah with their clothes torn and told him what the field commander had said. Now, if you want to know what the king has to say in response, you're going to need to come back for the next video, friends. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me again for Bible study. I know I need this in order to start my day, in order to set myself. So I just figured that's why I started recording this. This is what I do in order to help stay in balance. I only record any of this because I've had people go, how do you get so much stuff done? How do you do this? How do you do that? I can only do what the Lord empowers me to do, same as anybody else. Vessel has all the same needs. I have all the same restraints that everybody else in the world has. So it's not like I have unlimited time and energy. I just have to set myself for the day in a way in which I'm open to the Holy Spirit. And this is part of how I do it. Today, the Niv, of course, Acts chapter 9, verses 1 through 25. This particular part of the parable, does it take us to the very end? It takes us past that one. So we're going to have two parables with the start of the one complete one and the start of another one. The first parable that we'll do here is called Saul's conversion. Now, Saul, in fact, we can just start right here. Meanwhile, Saul is still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples. Understand that in this society, the way this is, to get arrested for blasphemy by the Sanhedrin, which is basically their Senate, the Pharisees being there, it's like, almost think of it as like the, well, I would want to call it the King's Privy Council, but in America that would be the the equivalent of the president's cabinet. Pharisees being the most educated on the law. To be arrested for blasphemy is a death sentence. There is no jury. None of that stuff exists. There's no due process. If you've been arrested by the Sanhedrin, they don't ever have to let you go. They'll never have to try you, never have to anything. There's no protections of any kind like that. It's all based upon whatever they decide. He went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues in Damascus. So if he found any there who belonged to the way, that were followers of Jesus, whether men or women, he might take them to prison as prisoners to Jerusalem, so they could be executed. Because that is what the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees have decided needs to happen to all the disciples of Jesus, just carefully, strategically. And it all started with the killing of Stephen. Once one of them had died, it's open season on them all now. Society has the right to kill with no consequence. Well, as long as the Romans don't find out. The Jewish people aren't supposed to be killing anybody at all. Only the Romans have the right to kill during this Roman occupation. So understand, all of this is got a certain level of secrecy to it. It's got a certain level of issue to it. The Romans don't get involved with the Jewish business until it starts becoming murder, like death, or it's disrupting how the Romans want to run their province. As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. Now to me, he did what I would consider the typical reaction for people in this time frame. He fell to the ground and heard a voice to say to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? It's like, why are you a giant D, man? Because, think about this. What kind of person is home in their own town and they're not having to do, because he went and got these people arrested. He's from Jerusalem. He's in his own town and everything. And he so hates these people that he wants to go on the road to be able to wipe them out. Not just in his town, no towns. They all gotta die. That's his stance. So suddenly there's a voice from the sky. Who are you, Lord? Saul asked, because, voice from the sky to them is immediately God. They cannot necessarily tell the difference in who's talking to them in the sense of spiritual warfare. They just hear a voice. And if it's a voice, they think it's God. I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting, he replied. In this case, it was God. And Lord was the right response. Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do. The men traveling with Saul stood there speechless. They heard the sound, but did not see anyone. Saul got up from the ground, but when he opened his eyes, he could see nothing. So he was blinded. He led them by the hand to Damascus. He was blind with hate, so he was blinded for his hate. Damascus, right? For 3 days he was blind. He did not eat or drink anything. Again, that's a typical response. I will fast until you heal me, because then that means I've punished myself enough that you feel like I can be given back something. In Damascus, there was a disciple called Ananias. I think I'm saying that right. Ananias. Ananias. The Lord called to him in a vision. Ananias. Yes, Lord, he answered. Which, if you go all the way back to the Old Testament, that's pretty normal. You all of a sudden he talks to you. The Lord told him, go to the house of Judas on Straight Street and ask for a man from Tarsus named Saul, for he is praying. In a vision, he sees a man named Ananias come and place his hands on him to restore his sight. Lord, Ananias answered, I have heard many reports about this man and all the harm he has done to the saints in Jerusalem. So everybody who dies for the cause, they're calling a saint. It's just how that is right then. And he has come here with the authority from the chief priests to arrest all who call on your name. You want me to heal the enemy? You want me to heal the enemy? Because that's how they're seeing this man. He's persecuting them, therefore he's the enemy. But the Lord said to Ananias, go. This man is my chosen instrument to carry my name before the Gentiles and their kings, before the people of Israel. Come at him too hard and he'll make you a disciple of him. I will show him how much he must suffer for them. He must suffer for my name, right? I will show him how much he must suffer for my name, because he wanted to do such violence to people and he's responsible for such death. He will proclaim my name, and he will suffer for me for the blood he shed. We all are supposed to suffer with him. That's a part of that is a purification. It forces us to look at the dark parts of us, so we heal those wounds, because in healing the wounds, that's how we get to heaven. We're not changing heaven's vibration to be an excuse for us to behave terribly to other people. That's not what heaven is. We change us to be in the vibration of heaven. It's not changing, we change. That's how that ratio goes. That was weird. You guys heard that, right? Something just hit my window. When that happens, it's usually him trying to tell me I'm on target. Then Ananias went to the house, and he entered it. Placing his hands on Saul, he said, Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus, whom appeared to you on the road as you were coming here, has sent me so that you may see again and be filled with the Holy Spirit. That's a really important part right there, because he is letting Saul know he is sent by Jesus. That was Jesus. There's no way for me to know that was Jesus. I'm telling you it was Jesus, and he has sent me here to help you, to heal you. Immediately, something like scales fell from Saul's eyes, and he could see again. He got up and was baptized, and after taking some food, he regained his strength. Okay. This next part is called, and it's we're starting at 19. Saul in Damascus and Jerusalem. So Saul spent several days with the disciples in Damascus. He had to be taught what the word is. At once he began to preach in the synagogues that Jesus is the Son of God. All those who had heard him were astonished and asked, Isn't he the man who raised havoc in Jerusalem among those who call on his name? And hasn't he come here to take them as prisoners to the chief priests? Yet Saul grew more and more powerful and baffled the Jews living in Damascus by proving that Jesus is the Christ. Now remember, this is a guy whose job it is to get people to follow the law. That means he already knows how to do the performance part. He, like Philip, is already experienced in preaching before becoming. This is just now what he's believing, so he's very convincing at his job, which is precisely why Jesus wants to send him to the Gentiles. If you think the Jews from the Old Testament and the Bible were stiff-necked people, because that is exactly how they're encountered. Just wait until you meet the English, the Irish, and the Scottish and see. Because, I know I'm stubborn. After many days had gone by, the Jews conspired to kill him, because that's what they're supposed to do. But Saul learned of their plan. Day and night they kept close watch on the city gates in order to kill him. They have to catch him to kill him. But the followers took him by night and lowered him in a basket through an opening in the wall. That's a clever idea, isn't it? You want to get something away, so you lower it in a basket from a wall. There's some other things in history that I seem to recall that had a similar way of getting something out. No good ideas really come from us. They all come from the on high anyway. Remember that just because we can't see a change happening in someone doesn't mean But God isn't making a change happen in someone. He works in all kinds of mysterious ways, and he sends us to all kinds of places in order to do what we need to do. Because you'll note that that was yesterday and today there was a case of that. Because first Philip is told to go someplace, but he doesn't question, he just goes. And on the way he meets somebody who needs talking to so that they can carry on their way. All right? And then in this case, we have this other disciple sent to Saul, who's to become a disciple himself. Anybody who's trying to get somebody to kneel next to you in worship is not your enemy. God can work through anyone. And assuming he can only work through your way, your people, your group, whoever you are, whoever it is, I speak as much to myself as anyone else. Your being the thing there, that's just ego. He sends people out in pairs, and he sends to each of us who we need in order to keep our feet on the right path. We're very specifically told to be teachable. Be teachable, because you will know the truth when you hear it. And he will send people to you to bring you the truth. So be open to the truth. Forget groups. Forget tribes. Your group and your tribe is whoever also happens to follow. Because you're either working on my will to thy will, yes, angel, or no, demon. Take your pick. Intention is all that really matters. Your actions show the world your intentions. They show the world what's in your heart. So may we all take good actions today. Be open to the Holy Spirit so that maybe we can help others keep their feet on the right path while he leads us on the right path for ourselves. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in the book of Psalms, book 5, and we are in Psalm 143, a psalm of David. O Lord, hear my prayer. Listen to my cry for mercy. In your faithfulness and righteousness, come to my relief. Do not bring your servant into judgment, for no one living is righteous before you. The enemy pursues me. He crushes me to the ground. He makes me dwell in darkness like those long dead. So my spirit grows faint within me. My heart within me is dismayed. I remember the days of long ago. I meditate on all your works and consider what your hands have done. I spread out my hands to you. My soul thirsts for you like a parched land. Selah. Answer me quickly, O Lord. My spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me, or I will be like those who go down to the pit. Let the morning bring Bring me word of your unfailing love, for I have put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go, for you lift up my soul. Rescue me from my enemies, O Lord, for I hide myself in you. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your good spirit lead me on level ground. For your name's sake, O Lord, preserve my life. In your righteousness, bring me out of trouble. In your unfailing love, silence my enemies. Destroy all my foes, for I am your servant. And that is the way it's supposed to be. We are all his servants, or we're all meant to be anyway. Don't forget to keep coming back for the next video, friends.